Thanks, Mark. I'm Billie Major, as Mark said. I'm a corporate vice president with Capgemini. I also look after our biggest client in the UK, which is HMRC. That's the tax and customs people, if anybody doesn't know. And I want to take the next 10 minutes to talk to you about some of the great things that we've done through the pandemic in helping the UK government and how trust has played a critical part in that success. So if I could have the first slide, please, that would be great. Thank you. So you can see there our 7 company values, and trust on the right-hand side there is one of our company values. Now, we try to hold our people and ourselves to account against these values, and we try to run all our interactions and all our business against these 7 values, and trust is one of those values. But my goodness, trust really did get tested through these last 9 months. And if we look back, we know a lot more now about the virus than we did back then. And if I took you back to February, we really didn't know that much at all. We probably thought we did, but we really didn't. And we were unlucky. We had 1 case of COVID very early on in the pandemic. And we saw the impact it had in terms of the cleaning that we had to do, in terms of contact tracing. And we quickly worked out in about 20 minutes that it was going to have a massive impact on our whole business operation. And given that we support some of the critical national infrastructure systems that pay people's child benefit, tax credits, etc., we really didn't want to be in that place. So we very quickly, within a matter of hours, decided to get everyone to work from home. So all our 3,000 people were working from home. And in early March, I took a client call at 11:15 in the evening, and it was a call from our main, my main contact in HMRC to say they'd been asked to help the UK government out, and could we help them to achieve what was required, which was basically some systems work. We didn't know much more at that time, to try and keep society coherent and society cohesive, and a lot of the systems were going to be around the financials and paying people who were clearly going to have difficulties getting to work. That is all we knew. I said yes, because it sounded like the kind of thing that we ought to do for the good of the country. I knew nothing about it. I got 3,000 people working remotely. And I got on a call the next morning with the UK Chancellor's office, and the systems that we probably all know and love now, the furlough system, coronavirus job retention scheme, CJRS, self-employed income support system, Eat Out to Help Out, VAT deferrals, and statutory sick pay changes, just to mention a few, were the systems that we've helped HMRC to deliver for the government. The first one was the furlough scheme, and when I attended that call, as I say, 3,000 people working remotely. We committed to do the system. It was obviously very much in the public eye. It was about to be announced by the UK Chancellor on television, and we couldn't get it wrong. It was absolutely critical, and it was very critical to pay people. People who were worried about their jobs, people who were potentially going to be furloughed from their jobs. We had to make sure that they got the payments in order to keep food on the table and society working properly. So very high profile, very high risk, and we had to trust that our people would deliver these systems in remote working without any management oversight at all, no management control. And they did. And we've never delivered systems in that way before. We normally have management layers. We normally have very well-defined processes for checking and monitoring and looking at plans and schedules to make sure everything's on track. We had none of that at all. Instead, we divested and empowered our people. We divested the control to the people themselves and trusted that they were going to get the work done. So instead of monitoring the inputs, we focused on the output, and we said to them, these systems are important. So we explained the context. We had regular communications channels set up so that we could talk and collaborate. We set parameters up around the way they should work. We gave them a cost envelope in which they had to work. We gave them a time envelope in which they had to work, and broadly left them on their own to do what they needed to do without any oversight whatsoever. And they absolutely delivered. We delivered those systems. That the job retention scheme system would ordinarily have taken around between 3 and 6 months. We delivered it in 2 weeks. We had nearly 300 people working on it, all working on different parts of it, and we delivered it on time in 2 weeks. We then tested it for a week, and then the government had it to do their own tests on before it was released to the general public. And what's more, the teams themselves actually liked working in that way. So could you please just flick onto the next slide? So after we delivered the systems, we went and asked people how they found the experience to be. And these are some of the things that you can see on the screen, which I won't read out to you because it will be very boring, but you can see the one on the far right there. It was truly a great experience and something I'm proud to be part of. I'm privileged to have experienced this as part of Capgemini's history. So people liked the flexibility. They liked the way that they were trusted to get on with things. They liked the fact we'd given them the context in which they got to operate. And broadly speaking, as I say, we left them to do what we'd asked them to do and monitored them on the output rather than the input. Now, although we have trust as one of our characteristics and one of our values that we want people to adhere to, we do still have an element of our management cadre that still look for presenteeism. They look for when people turn up to work. They look for how long they're sitting at their desk and doing things. They look at when they go for a break and when they come back. None of that was important because we couldn't see it. People were working in their own homes and we had to trust. And as I say, the experience for the people was fantastic. And the outcome was fantastic too. So if you could just flick onto the next slide, please. And that the next slide covers some of the things that we achieved. So if we looked at about the bottom section there where it says JRS, that's the job retention scheme, the furlough. We've paid out £39.3 billion through that software. At one time, we were taking £5 million a minute. We were processing £5 million a minute. Similarly, on Seas there, £13.5 billion has gone through that software. The software, we haven't got time now, but I've got feedback from people that have used it. There was even a tweet from Tim Berners-Lee, which we're very proud of, you know, the father of the World Wide Web, saying, you know, it's some of the best software he's seen in terms of the way it performed, given the volumes that we were handling. So it's been a stunning success, all geared on trust. People are now preferring to work in this way. So as we go forward post-pandemic, we will be taking those principles that we've learned through the pandemic forward. And I know the pandemic's been so horrendous in so many ways for so many people. But the positive things are, you know, the impact on the environment through people not traveling, the recovery of wildlife, which is important to me, you know, I'm a big environmental supporter. And this is so important, the fact that we've found a liberating way for people to work, a way that suits them and suits the individual. And when you apply yourselves to helping people to do the right thing, my experience is that they usually do. They appreciate the trust, and the results, as we can see, can be absolutely staggering. So let's take that lesson forward and hopefully have a much more engaged workforce through the lessons that we've learned through the pandemic.